The conference room on Station Epsilon 7 was built to impress. Crystal walls stretched up 3 stories high, showing the stars beyond. Seats arranged in a perfect circle held representatives from 43 different alien species. At the center sat the massive throne of High Arbiter Velmoth, his 6 legs tapping impatiently on the metal floor. Ambassador Yuna Lee sat straight in her chair, her hands folded on the table. She had done this for 15 years now, 15 long years of asking, pleading, and trying to reason with creatures who saw humans as nothing more than newcomers who should be grateful for any scraps thrown their way. Behind her stood Captain Minho Park, his military uniform crisp and clean. His eyes constantly scanned the room, watching for any sign of trouble. He had been with Yuna for 10 years now, and he could see the tiredness in her shoulders that she tried to hide. Dr. Ji-won Kim sat to Yuna's left, her tablet displaying translation data that the official council translators somehow always seemed to get wrong. She had stopped pointing out the errors years ago. Nobody listened. "The human delegation wishes to speak about trade access again," Velmoth announced, his translator making his clicking voice sound bored. How tiresome. "We have discussed this matter for many cycles." Trade Master Kix, a large reptilian with green scales, leaned back in his seat. His tongue flicked out in what Ji-won had learned was their version of a smirk. "The humans want access to the Kepler mineral fields again. Perhaps they should offer something of value in return." Yuna took a deep breath. "We have offered technological exchanges. We have offered cultural programs. We have offered medical research. Each time the Council has accepted our offerings but provided nothing in return." "Your technology patents are being reviewed," Velmoth said, the same words he had used for 5 years. "The process takes time." Minho's jaw tightened. He knew that alien companies were already using human quantum drive designs. They just refused to pay for them or acknowledge human ownership. "Today," Velmoth continued, "we have a proposal for the humans. We wish to study your quantum drive technology in detail. You will provide all research data, all blueprints, all manufacturing processes." Ji-won looked down at her tablet. The translation was coming through clearly now. They wanted everything, the technology that had taken humanity 50 years to develop. "And in return?" Yuna asked, though she already knew the answer would disappoint her. Kix's smirk grew wider. "In return, we will grant you limited access to asteroid mining in Sector 447. Low-grade materials only, of course. The good minerals are reserved for established council members. Sector 447 is a contested zone," Minho spoke up, unable to stay silent. 3 species are fighting over it right now. You're offering us access to a war zone for our most valuable technology. Captain Park," Velmoth's voice carried a warning tone. "Security personnel do not speak in council chambers." Yuna placed a hand on Minho's arm. She stood slowly, gathering her papers into her briefcase. "No." The room fell silent. Velmoth's antennae twitched in confusion. "Excuse me?" "No," Yuna repeated, her voice calm but firm. "We will not give you our quantum drive technology. We will not accept access to a war zone as fair trade. We are done with these negotiations." Ji-won stood as well, following Yuna's lead. She had waited years to see this moment. "You cannot simply leave," Kix hissed. "The Council has not dismissed you." "The Council has wasted 15 years of our time," Yuna said, turning toward the door. "We tried patience. We tried diplomacy. We tried compromise. You have met each attempt with contempt and theft." Minho moved to open the door, his hand hovering over his weapon not in threat, but in readiness. The other human delegates, 12 men and women who had spent years in this room, all stood and began walking toward the exit. Velmoth's laugh was a horrible clicking sound that echoed through the crystal chamber. "You are making a mistake, Ambassador Lee. Where will you go? Who will trade with you? The Council controls all major trade routes, all major markets. You are cutting yourselves off from galactic civilization." Yuna paused at the door. She looked back at the assembled aliens, at their smug faces and comfortable positions. "Then we will build our own civilization. We've done it before. You'll be back," Kix called out. "You humans always crawl back. You need us more than we need you." Minho saw Yuna's shoulders straighten at those words. "Good. Let them think that. Let them be confident and comfortable." "Captain," Yuna said softly as they walked down the corridor, "send a message to all human colonies and ships. We are withdrawing from all Council-affiliated activities." "All of them, Ambassador?" Minho asked, though he knew the answer. Every single one. Trade, cultural exchanges, scientific cooperation, everything. We are done. Jiwan walked beside them, her fingers flying over her tablet. I'm sending the linguistics data to Earth now. Every mistranslation, every deliberate error, every lie they told us through their translators. Let everyone see exactly how they treated us. The human ship waited in the docking bay, its clean lines and efficient design standing out among the elaborate alien vessels. As they boarded, Minho looked back at the station one last time. Through the windows he could see Velmoth and the other council members gathering, probably to laugh about the foolish humans who walked away. Do you think they understand what they've lost? Jiwan asked quietly. Yuna settled into her seat, finally allowing herself to show her exhaustion. No, not yet. They think we need them. They think we're nothing without their permission and their markets. And we're going to prove them wrong, Minho said. Not a question, but a statement. We're going to let them prove themselves wrong, Yuna corrected. We're not going to do anything aggressive. We're simply going to close our doors and let them discover exactly what they had. The ship pulled away from the station, turning toward human space. Behind them, Station Epsilon 7 grew smaller and smaller, until it was just another point of light among the stars. On the station, Velmoth was already composing messages to the other council leaders. The humans have walked out, he wrote. They will return within a month, desperate and willing to accept any terms. I recommend we prepare even less favorable conditions for them. They must learn their place. But in the human ship, Yuna was composing very different messages. Messages to every human colony, every human ship, every human research station scattered across the galaxy. The message was simple. We are going home. Close all doors to council species. Accept no communications. Provide no assistance. Let silence be our answer. As the ship jumped to faster than light speed, Jiwan looked at the star charts. It's going to take them time to realize what's happening. Let them have their time, Yuna said. We've given them 15 years. Now we take ours. Minho smiled, the first genuine smile he had worn in that uniform for years. I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. Don't, Yuna said. They made their choice. Now they can live with the consequences. 3 months had passed since the human delegation walked out of the council chambers. Merchant Captain Thal guided his ship toward the human colony of New Sol, his cargo hold filled with rare spices from the outer rim. He had traded with the humans for 20 years. They always paid well and on time. His communications officer, a young pilot named Vrex, looked up from his console with confusion. Captain, I'm not getting any response from the colony's traffic control. Try again, Thal said, unconcerned. They're probably busy, but after 10 attempts there was still only silence. When they finally reached orbit, they found the space docks operational but empty. Automated systems directed them to a landing pad, but no human workers came to greet them. A recorded message played on every channel. New Sol Colony is no longer accepting Galactic Council credits or participating in Council-sanctioned trade agreements. Please depart immediately. Thal stared at the message in disbelief. But I've traded here for 20 years. I know Administrator Junho personally. The message simply repeated. No human voice, no human face, just the cold automated response. Thal tried to land anyway, but the defense systems activated, politely but firmly directing his ship away from the colony. On Earth, Admiral Hyun Choi watched the deployment of the new defense grid with satisfaction. Every human system, every colony, every station now had automated defenses that would turn away any council vessel without firing a shot. No violence, no aggression, just closed doors. The merchant ships are getting desperate, his aide reported. Some are offering triple the usual payment. Let them offer 100 times the payment, Hyun said. No council currency, no council trade. Those are the orders. Similar scenes played out across human space. At the colony of Armstrong Station, Engineer Daeun Song watched as a council medical ship tried to dock. They needed human-made painkillers, their supply having run out. The automated systems turned them away. They're begging, Daeun's assistant said, listening to the desperate pleas on the open channel. I remember when our colony had the radiation leak, Daeun said quietly. We begged them for medical supplies. They said it wasn't economically viable to help us. 23 people died waiting for help that never came. The medical ship eventually left. Their patients still in pain, their supplies still empty. On the council homeworld, Counselor Ralvik sat in his office reviewing reports. The first month after the human walkout, everyone had laughed. The second month, some had started asking questions. Now in the third month, the questions were becoming urgent. The entertainment sector is reporting a 40% drop in revenue, his economic advisor reported. Human content was providing almost half of all media consumption across council space. So our people will watch something else, Ralvix said dismissively. They tried. The ratings for non-human content have dropped 60%. People are complaining that everything feels boring now. Ralvix waved it away. They'll adjust. But the reports kept coming. The medical sector was running low on certain supplies. Human-engineered crops that fed 30% of council worlds were no longer available. Technology companies were discovering that components they needed had human patents that were no longer being honored or licensed. Trademaster Kix stormed into Velmoth's office without announcing himself. "We have a problem. The humans." Velmoth clicked in annoyance. "They're isolating themselves. They're the ones who will suffer." "The market data suggests otherwise," Kix said, throwing a data pad onto Velmoth's desk. Human trade represented 38% of total galactic commerce. 38%. That's not just gone, it's actively being withdrawn. "Other species will fill the gap," Velmoth insisted. "With what?" "The humans had unique products, unique services, unique entertainment. Nobody else has quantum drive technology. Nobody else has their medical advances. Nobody else has their agricultural science." Velmoth stood, his 6 legs carrying him to the window overlooking the council plaza. Below he could see aliens going about their business, unaware of the growing crisis. "Send a message to the human colonies. Offer them improved terms," Kix's tongue flicked out. "I tried. They don't respond. No human ship, no human colony, no human station is accepting any communication from council space. It's like they've vanished." In the medical district of Council Prime, Dr. Sora Han's message system was full. Hundreds of alien doctors begging for help, for supplies, for the miracle drugs that only human labs could produce. She read through them one by one, her face expressionless. One message caught her attention. It was from Dr. Flem, a doctor who had once refused to share council medical knowledge with humans, calling it too advanced for primitive species to understand. Now he was begging for human painkillers for his clinic. Sora deleted the message without responding. She remembered the Proxima Plague, when human colonies begged for help. The council had called it efficient population control, and refused to provide vaccines until the plague had burned itself out, killing thousands. "Let them remember their own words," she muttered, deleting another desperate plea. Back on the council homeworld, Economic Minister Oth presented his findings to an emergency session. The galactic economy has contracted 23% in 3 months. If this continues, we're looking at a full recession within 6 months. "How is this possible?" one council member demanded. "The humans are just one species among 43. Oth displayed a chart. "Yes, but they were involved in nearly every sector. They didn't just sell products, they created infrastructure. Their quantum communication relays handle 40% of all galactic data transmission. Those relays are now offline in human space. Turn them back on." Another member shouted. "We can't. The technology is proprietary to humans. We never learned how to build or maintain it ourselves. We just used it." The room erupted in argument. Species began blaming each other for the situation. The Velk accused the Kix of driving the humans away. The Kix blamed the Velk for not offering better terms years ago. Supreme General Crick stood, his massive form demanding attention. "I propose we take military action. Seize the human colonies, force them to resume trade." The room fell silent. Velmoth considered it. "And start an interstellar war? With a species that has quantum drive technology and weapons we've never fully understood?" "They're weak," Crix insisted. "Their military is small." "Their military is small, but their technology is advanced," Ralvix pointed out. "And attacking them would only make things worse." "Who would side with us?" "Every species that depends on human goods would question their own safety." As the council argued, human ships moved through space on routes that avoided all council territory. They traded with independent species, with frontier worlds, with anyone who wasn't affiliated with the council. And they thrived. Merchant Thal sat in a bar on a neutral station, drowning his sorrows in alien liquor. His entire business had depended on human goods. Now he was bankrupt. I should have been nicer to them, he muttered to the bartender. I should have paid them better, treated them with more respect. We all should have, the bartender agreed. He was from a species that had supplied raw materials to human manufacturers. Now those manufacturers were gone and his homeworld's economy was collapsing. On Earth, Ambassador Yuna Lee received daily reports about the chaos in Council space. She read them without joy, without satisfaction, just cold acknowledgement. They're suffering, Jiwon noted, reading over her shoulder. So did we for 15 years, Yuna replied. The difference is we asked nicely. We tried to compromise. We offered fair deals. They laughed at us. Some of them are innocent civilians, Jiwon said softly. I know, Yuna sighed, and that's the only reason I'm considering any response at all. But not yet. Not until they truly understand what they've lost. Minho entered the room, a grim smile on his face. The council just tried to reverse engineer our quantum drives. 3 of their stations exploded. Apparently our safety protocols were more important than they realized. Any casualties? Yuna asked. None. Our protocols included automatic evacuation procedures. They're too proud to use our safety measures, but too ignorant to create their own. Outside, the sun was setting over the rebuilt cities of Earth. Humanity had suffered, had struggled, had nearly broken under the weight of galactic indifference. But they had survived, and now they were teaching the galaxy a lesson that should have been obvious from the start. Respect is not given to those who beg, but to those who know their worth and demand it. 8 months after the walkout, the true scale of the disaster became impossible to ignore. On the agricultural world of Vex Prime, riots had broken out in the capital city. The carefully engineered crops that humans had developed were failing, and the Vex people didn't know how to fix them. Governor Junho Shin sat in his office on the human colony of New Terra, watching the reports come in from across council space. His message inbox showed over 50,000 requests from alien worlds begging for agricultural assistance. He had developed the crop strains that 17 council worlds now depended on, modified to grow in their specific atmospheres and soil conditions. His assistant, Mira, stood beside him, her face troubled. Governor, some of these messages are from children. They're hungry. Junho closed his eyes, remembering when New Terra was first established. They had begged the council for help with their failing crops. The council had sent one advisor who stayed for 3 days, pronounced their efforts adequate, and left. 15 colonists had starved to death that first winter before Junho figured out the solution himself. I received a message from the council agricultural minister, Junho said quietly. 10 years ago he told me that human farming methods were quaint and primitive. He said we should be grateful the council allowed us to feed ourselves at all. So we let them starve? Mira asked. No. Junho stood, his decision made. We let their governments fail. The people are different. But not yet, not until the council admits what they've done. On the medical station orbiting Thex, Dr. Sorahan prepared another batch of synthetic organs for storage. Human medical technology had advanced far beyond anything the council possessed. Their organ printing, their cellular regeneration, their pain management, all of it was desperately needed across council space. Her communicator buzzed for the 1,000th time that day. She glanced at the message, another alien hospital begging for supplies. This one was from Dr. Flem, the same doctor who had refused to help during the Proxima Plague. Dr. Han, please. The message read. I was wrong. I was cruel. But my patients are dying. Children are in agony. I'm begging you, not for myself, but for them. Sora's hand hovered over the delete button. She thought of the children who had died during the plague, their small faces twisted in pain. The council had called it nature's way and refused to help. She didn't delete the message. Instead, she saved it in a file labeled Remember. Remember why they walked away. Remember why silence was necessary. In the entertainment district of Council Prime, theaters stood empty. The latest Kixian drama had premiered to the worst ratings in history. People weren't interested in traditional council entertainment anymore. They had grown accustomed to human storytelling, human music, human games. It's like they poisoned our culture, complained Merchant Vix to his friend. Now nothing else satisfies. They didn't poison anything, his friend replied sadly. They just showed us what we were missing. And now it's gone. The technology sector was collapsing faster than anyone had predicted. Supreme General Crick stood before the council, his military uniform somehow looking less impressive than before. 3 more stations have failed, he reported. We tried to implement human quantum communication protocols without their help. The systems are incompatible with our technology. Can't we just force them to help us? Trademaster Kix demanded, his earlier confidence long gone. Force them how? Crix asked. Military action would require quantum drives to reach human space quickly. Our conventional drives would take months. By the time we arrived, they would have fortified further. And he paused, uncomfortable with what he was about to admit. And what? Velmoth clicked impatiently. And our military relies on human technology more than I realized. Our medical supplies, our food provisions, our entertainment for the troops. 30% of our military infrastructure has human components or relies on human supplies. I have deserters on 17 ships because soldiers are going home to help their starving families. Economic Minister Oth stood, his tentacles waving in distress. The economic data is catastrophic. Galactic economy down 47%. Unemployment rising on every council world. 6 species are on the brink of civil war over resource distribution. How did this happen? Demanded Councillor Ralvix. How did we become so dependent on one species? Because they were good at everything, Oth replied simply. They didn't just excel in one area. They excelled in agriculture, medicine, technology, entertainment, service industries, manufacturing. They filled every gap in our economy because we let them. Because we were happy to take their contributions without giving fair compensation. Velmoth stood, his massive form trembling slightly. For the first time, doubt crept into his voice. Surely some of them will break. Surely some human colony will need our help, will open communications. None have, Ralvix reported. We've monitored every human transmission we can detect. They're communicating with each other, with independent species, even with some frontier worlds. But not one word to any council-affiliated entity. On Earth, President Seohyun Kang reviewed the intelligence reports with her cabinet. The council was fracturing, species turning on each other as resources grew scarce. The Velk are blaming the Kix for driving us away, Intelligence Minister Hiyori reported. The Kix are blaming the Thex for not offering better terms years ago. 3 species have withdrawn from council voting, claiming the organization no longer serves their interests. Casualties? Seohyun asked. From the economic collapse, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands across council space. From direct violence, surprisingly few so far. But that could change quickly. Seohyun looked at Yuna, who sat quietly in the corner. Ambassador, your thoughts? They still don't understand, Yuna said. They think this is about punishing them. They think we're being petty or vengeful. They don't realize we simply walked away from a relationship that was destroying us. The civilian casualties are concerning. Minister of Health Yamin added. We have the ability to help. I know, Yuna said softly. And that's what separates us from them. They had the ability to help us during the Proxima Plague. They chose not to, calling it efficient. We have the ability to help them now, and it hurts us not to. So what do? Seohyun asked. We prepare, Yuna said. We prepare an offer, but not to the council. To the people, we broadcast our terms directly to every world, every station, every ship. Let the civilians know that their governments chose pride over their well-being. Back in council chambers, Velmoth finally made the decision he had been avoiding for months. Send a message to Earth, an official request for negotiations. The room fell silent. After 8 months of insisting, the humans would crawl back. After months of dismissing their importance, the mighty council was admitting defeat. What terms should we offer? Kix asked, his proud voice now subdued. Whatever they want, Velmoth said, each word clearly painful. We cannot survive without them. Ralvix composed the message carefully. No threats, no demands, just a simple request. The Galactic Council requests the honor of resuming negotiations with the human delegation. We are prepared to discuss terms at your convenience. On Earth, Yuna received the message. She read it aloud to the assembled human leadership. The room was quiet for a long moment. How long should we make them wait? Minyo asked, a slight smile on his face. How long did they make us wait? Jiwon responded. 15 years of broken promises, of stolen technology, of contempt. We're not them, Seohyun said firmly. We won't let civilians suffer because of government pride. But we will make our terms clear. Yuna nodded. I'll compose a response. But first, let's send medical supplies to the hospitals, food to the hungry worlds, not through the council, directly to the people. Let them see that humanity responds to suffering, even when their governments do not. And the council? Minho asked. The council can wait, Yuna said with satisfaction. Not 15 years, but long enough to truly understand what they had and what they threw away. As human aid ships prepared to launch, carrying supplies marked with one message, from the people of Earth to the people of the galaxy, the council chambers remained empty and silent, waiting for a response that would come only when humanity decided they had learned their lesson. Outside the windows of Council Prime, the lights of the city flickered and dimmed as power rationing began. The great civilization that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was learning a hard truth. Respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. And humanity, the species they had dismissed and exploited for 15 years, had just taught them that lesson in the most effective way possible, by simply walking away. 1 year had passed since Ambassador Yuna Lee walked out of the council chambers. Councillor Ralvik stood in what had once been the magnificent council meeting hall, now dim and cold. Power conservation measures meant only essential systems ran, and apparently pride was no longer essential. He clutched a datapad containing the report he had spent 3 months compiling. The numbers were devastating, but someone needed to present the truth to Velmoth. Someone needed to make the High Arbiter understand the magnitude of their mistake. Enter, Velmoth's voice called when Ralvix knocked. The High Arbiter's office was dark, lit only by emergency lighting. Even the leader of the Galactic Council was not exempt from rationing. I have the complete analysis, Ralvik said, placing the datapad on the desk. Velmoth's antennae drooped as he read. His 6 legs seemed unable to support his weight properly, and for the first time, Ralvik saw something he never expected to see in the mighty High Arbiter. Defeat. 62%. Velmoth read aloud. 62% of our infrastructure uses human technology licenses, and we never paid for a single one. Ralvix added quietly. We claimed they were under review while our companies used them freely. 38% of galactic commerce, Velmoth continued reading, his voice hollow. 41% of entertainment, education, and media. 2.3 million deaths prevented annually by human medical advances that are no longer available. The silence in the room was deafening. Outside they could hear the sounds of protests. 3 species were on the verge of civil war over resource distribution. The great galactic civilization was eating itself alive. We didn't need them, Velmoth said finally, his voice cracking. That's what I told everyone. The humans needed us, needed our markets, needed our approval. But it was a lie, wasn't it? A complete lie, Ralvix confirmed. They needed nothing from us. We needed everything from them. Their innovation, their efficiency, their willingness to solve problems we ignored. While we sat in our comfortable chairs and made demands, they were building the systems that kept our civilization running. Velmoth stood, walking to the window. Below, the once bright city was covered in darkness, only emergency lights breaking the gloom. How many messages have we sent to Earth? 147 official requests for negotiations. Thousands of individual pleas from businesses, hospitals, farms, schools. Not a single response. Not one, Ralvix confirmed. However, human aid ships have been arriving at civilian stations. Medical supplies, food, basic necessities, they're helping the people directly, bypassing us completely. Smart, Velmoth admitted bitterly. They're showing the civilians that humanity cares for them while their own governments let them suffer. A commotion outside the office made both of them turn. Supreme General Crix burst in without announcement, his military bearing completely gone. He looked exhausted, defeated. We have massive desertions, Crix reported. Soldiers are abandoning their posts to return home. Their families are starving and they blame us. Blame me, blame the council. How many? Velmoth asked. 40% of the fleet, gone, just gone. And I can't blame them. What are they fighting for? What are they protecting? A government that led them to ruin? Trademaster Kix entered next, his scales dull and lifeless. The Merchant Guild has officially dissolved. Without human goods to trade, without human ports to visit, there's no commerce to manage. One by one, the council members arrived, each with worse news than the last. The economy, the military, the social structure, everything was collapsing. And through it all, the humans remained silent. On Earth, Ambassador Yuna Lee sat in her garden, reading the latest intelligence reports. Her once neat hair now showed strands of gray from the stress of the past year. Captain Minho Park sat across from her, equally worn but somehow more satisfied. "The council is begging," Minho said. "Valmuth sent a personal message today. He actually apologized." "Did he understand what he was apologizing for?" Yuna asked. "No. He apologized for misunderstandings and miscommunications. He still doesn't grasp that it wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate exploitation." Dr. Ji-won Kim joined them, carrying a cup of tea. "The civilian aid programs are working well. We've saved thousands of lives by working directly with local hospitals and farms." "And the council's response?" Yuna asked. "They're trying to take credit for it, claiming they arranged for humanitarian aid. The civilians aren't buying it, though. They know who's really helping them." President Seo Hyun Kang's call came through on Yuna's communicator. "Ambassador, I need your recommendation. The council is fracturing. We're seeing real violence now. 3 council species declared war on each other over resource disputes. Casualties?" Yuna asked, her voice tight with concern. "Hundreds in the first skirmishes. It could become thousands." Yuna closed her eyes. This was what she had feared. Punishing the council was one thing, but innocent people dying was another entirely. "It's time," she said finally. "We've made our point. They understand their mistake, even if they can't fully admit it. Now we need to prevent more suffering." "Terms?" Seo Hyun asked. "I'll send them within the hour, but they negotiate on Earth this time. On our territory, by our rules." Later that day, the response finally came. Not to the council chambers, but broadcast directly to every world, every station, every ship in council space. The United Earth government agrees to resume humanitarian assistance and trade relations. However, negotiations will be conducted on Earth, under human protocols. The Galactic Council leadership is invited to discuss terms, but the final agreement must be approved by direct referendum on each council world. The people, not their governments, will decide if they accept Earth's conditions. The message continued with a list of preliminary demands that made even Minho whistle. "Ambassador, these terms are harsh." "They're fair," Yuna corrected. "They're everything we asked for over 15 years, plus compensation for what was stolen, plus guarantees it won't happen again." "The council will never accept this," Ji-won said. "The council doesn't have a choice," Yuna replied. "The people are desperate. They'll vote for anything that brings back stability and aid." On Council Prime, Valmuth read the message 3 times. Each reading made his heart sink lower. The demands were crushing. Recognition of all human patents with retroactive compensation, equal council voting rights, exclusive mining rights to disputed territories, replacement of council currency with human-backed standard, free trade access to all desired resources. "They're dismantling everything," Trademaster Kick said, reading over his shoulder. "No," Councillor Ralvix corrected. "They're rebuilding it fairly. Everything they're asking for we should have given them years ago." "But the cost," Valmuth started. "The cost?" Ralvix's laugh was bitter. "The cost of accepting these terms is nothing compared to what we've already lost. Our economy is destroyed, our military is deserting, our people are fighting each other in the streets. What exactly do we have left to lose?" Supreme General Crix straightened his uniform. "I recommend we accept immediately, before more people die." "Agreed," said Economic Minister Oth. "Every day we delay costs us more." Valmuth looked at each of them. His council, the mighty leaders of galactic civilization, all defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers just 1 year ago. "Very well," he said, each word tasting like ash. "Prepare my ship. We're going to Earth." "We?" Kix asked. "All of us," Valmuth confirmed. "If we're going to surrender, we do it together. If we're going to face humanity's judgment, we do it as the council that failed." As preparations began for the journey to Earth, Valmuth walked one last time through the dark council chambers. He stopped at the chair where Yuna Lee had sat for 15 years, patiently asking for fairness, receiving only contempt. "We didn't see you," he whispered to the empty chair. "We looked at you and saw primitives, newcomers, species to exploit. We never saw partners, equals, or the foundation of our civilization, and now we've lost everything because of our blindness." Outside, human aid ships continued their work, saving lives while the governments that should have protected them crumbled. The message was clear. Humanity would help the innocent, but the guilty would face justice. The mighty Galactic Council was about to learn the hardest lesson of all. that power built on exploitation is no power at all, and that the species they had dismissed as weak had actually been holding their entire civilization together. And now, they would have to beg those same humans for the chance to rebuild, knowing that this time, the terms would be fair, equal and non-negotiable. The age of council dominance was over. The age of true galactic cooperation, built on respect rather than exploitation, was about to begin. But first, they would have to swallow their pride and travel to Earth as supplicants, to face the species they had wronged and accept whatever judgment humanity deemed fair. 18 months after the walkout, the Council delegation's ships approached Earth. High Arbiter Velmoth stared at the blue and green planet through his viewing screen, feeling smaller than he had ever felt in his long life. The last time he had seen Earth, he had dismissed it as an insignificant world with an equally insignificant species. Now he was coming here to beg. The human defense grid activated as they approached, but instead of weapons it projected a simple message. Council delegation, you are cleared to land at United Earth Government Headquarters in Geneva. Follow the designated flight path. Any deviation will result in immediate expulsion from Earth space. Captain Minho Park watched the alien ships land from the security control room. Beside him, Ambassador Yuna Lee stood calm and composed, though he could see the tension in her shoulders. This was the moment they had worked toward for over a year. How do you want to play this? Minho asked quietly. With truth, Yuna replied. No games, no tricks, just the honest accounting of what they did, and what it will take to fix it. The council delegation was escorted into a conference room that was deliberately plain and simple. No crystal walls, no impressive displays, just basic furniture and harsh lighting. After the grandeur of their own chambers, it felt like an insult, which was exactly the point. Velmoth entered first, his 6 legs moving slowly as if carrying a great weight. Behind him came the others, Councillor Ralvix, Trademaster Kix, Supreme General Crix, Economic Minister Oth, and representatives from each major council species. They all looked diminished somehow, their proud bearing replaced by barely concealed desperation. Yuna sat at the head of the table, with President Seohyun Kang to her right and Dr. Jiwon Kim to her left. The symbolism was clear. This was Earth's table now. High Arbiter, Yuna said, her voice professionally polite but cold. Please sit. Velmoth settled into a human-sized chair that was too small for his frame, his discomfort obvious. The others arranged themselves around the table, looking profoundly uncomfortable in the sparse surroundings. We appreciate that Earth has agreed to these negotiations, Velmoth began, using the standard diplomatic opening he had recited 1,000 times. Stop, Yuna interrupted. Let's not waste time with diplomatic pleasantries. You're here because your civilization is collapsing. We're here because we're willing to help rebuild it. But first we need to establish some facts. She gestured to Jiwon, who activated a holographic display. Numbers and charts filled the air between them. Fact 1, Yuna continued. For 15 years, the Galactic Council used human technology patents without compensation, claiming they were under review. The total value of stolen intellectual property, 4 trillion council credits, or roughly 6 trillion human dollars. Kix started to object, but Ralvix put a hand on his arm, shaking his head. Fact 2, Yuna went on. Human goods and services represented 38% of total galactic commerce. Human infrastructure supported 62% of council systems. Human medical advances prevented 2.3 million deaths annually across council space. We acknowledge these facts, Velmoth said quietly. Do you? Seohyun's voice was sharp. Because for 15 years you treated us as if we were worthless, as if we should be grateful for the privilege of being exploited. We were wrong, Velmoth said, and for the first time his voice carried genuine remorse rather than diplomatic necessity. We were arrogant, blind, and cruel. We saw your patience as weakness, your diplomacy as desperation, and your contributions as obligations we were owed. Why? Jiwon asked, leaning forward. Why did you treat us this way? Ralvix answered instead. Because you were new. Because you came to us asking for help rather than demanding respect. Because we could. There's no grand reason, no complex political calculation. We simply could get away with it. Until we couldn't. The honesty hung in the air. It wasn't a satisfying answer, but it was truthful. Minister Jae-won, Earth's new trade representative, stood and distributed data pads to each council member. These are our terms. Read them carefully. Velmoth read through the document, and with each line, he felt another piece of council authority crumble away. All human patents recognized immediately, with retroactive compensation paid over 20 years. Earth granted council voting power equal to the 3 largest member species combined. Exclusive mining rights to all disputed territories for 100 years. Council currency replaced with human-backed universal credit standard. Free and unlimited trade access for human vessels to all council space. Human citizens granted diplomatic immunity on all council worlds. Council required to share all research and development with Earth. Human military granted unrestricted access to all council space for peacekeeping operations. These terms are... Kix started, then fell silent. What could he say? Unfair? They had treated Earth far worse. Harsh? The council had stolen trillions. Unreasonable? Earth was offering to save their civilization when they could have watched it burn. These terms are acceptable, Velmoth said, and the weight of those words seemed to crush him into his too small chair. You understand what you're agreeing to? Seo-Hyun asked. This essentially makes Earth an equal partner in the council, rather than a subordinate member. We understand, Ralvix confirmed. We are agreeing to the relationship we should have offered 15 years ago. The terms require ratification by referendum on each council world, Yuna reminded them. Your people must vote to accept these conditions. They will, Economic Minister Oth said with certainty. They're starving, sick, and afraid. Earth's aid ships are already there, helping them while their own governments failed. They'll vote for anything that brings stability. Minho stepped forward with the official documents. Sign here if you agree to present these terms to your people. One by one, the council leaders signed. Each signature was an admission of defeat, a recognition that the Great Galactic Council had been utterly dependent on the species they had dismissed and exploited. As Velmoth signed last, Yuna spoke again. One more thing. We're not doing this out of revenge or desire for power. We're doing this because the current system is broken and needs to be fixed. We know, Velmoth said tiredly. You're already helping our civilians, saving lives, rebuilding infrastructure. You could have let us destroy ourselves completely, but you didn't. That alone shows you're better than we were. We're not better, Yuna corrected. We're just different. We learned from our own history that exploitation only breeds resentment and eventual collapse. We're building a system based on mutual benefit, not extraction. Supreme General Crick spoke for the first time. And if we violate these terms? If we try to return to the old ways? Minho answered that one. Then you'll discover exactly how advanced our military technology really is. We've been focusing on peaceful applications for 15 years while you dismissed us. Imagine what we've developed that you haven't seen. The implication was clear. Earth had been patient, diplomatic, and peaceful by choice, not necessity. President Seo-Hyun stood, signaling the end of the negotiation. Return to your worlds. Present these terms. We'll begin implementing humanitarian aid immediately, regardless of the vote outcome, because that's what civilized species do. They help those in need. The council delegation stood, preparing to leave. At the door, Velmoth paused and turned back. Ambassador Lee, he said quietly, when you walked out of our chambers, I laughed. I said you would crawl back within a month. I remember, Yuna replied. I was a fool. You didn't need to crawl back. You didn't need us at all. We needed you desperately, and we were too blind to see it until it was almost too late. Almost, Yuna agreed, but not quite. The galaxy has a chance now to rebuild correctly. Whether you take that chance is up to you and your people. As the council ships departed Earth, carrying terms that would fundamentally reshape galactic civilization, Minho joined Yuna at the observation window. Do you think they've really learned? He asked. They've learned that we're not weak, Yuna said thoughtfully. Whether they've learned respect, time will tell. But the terms ensure that even if they haven't, they can't hurt us again. Jiwon approached with news. The first referendum results are coming in. The agricultural world of Vex Prime voted 97% in favor. More results followed throughout the day. World after world, species after species, the votes were overwhelming. The people of the Galactic Council, having suffered under their leader's arrogance, were choosing partnership with Earth over continued decline. 3 weeks later, the final results were confirmed. Every council world had voted in favor, most by margins exceeding 90%. The new order was official. On the rebuilt council chambers, now relocated to a neutral station jointly administered by Earth and the Council, the first session of the reformed government took place. Una sat not as a supplicant but as an equal. Human flags flew alongside alien banners. Human language was added as an official council tongue. Velmoth, still High Arbiter but with greatly reduced power, opened the session. Today marks a new beginning for galactic civilization. We have learned at great cost that true strength comes not from domination but from cooperation. As he spoke, human ships moved through space freely, no longer needing permission or paying unfair fees. Human colonies expanded, no longer limited by artificial rester.